The left is all for the rule of law as long as it goes their way. They're all for the democratic processes of our society, except when they produce a result or an outcome that they don't like. And recently, a federal judge, Aileen Cannon, shot down or struck down the Biden DOJ by saying, we need to have a special master, an independent authority, review the Mar-a-Lago documents to see which of them appropriately belong to the search and which of them do not, which is to say which of them need to be isolated or returned to Mar-a-Lago because they were seized inappropriately. And the Biden DOJ shrieking, oh, this is going to jeopardize national security. This is going to cause the end of the world. And the judge is like, it's not going to jeopardize national security. The documents are going to stay. The special master is going to be operating on behalf of the government. So the documents are staying with the government. They're not going to be distributed or publicized in any way. But here's the point. Aileen Cannon is a respected judge. She's of Cuban origin. Her mom fled the dictatorship of Fidel Castro. She graduated from Duke. She went to the University of Michigan Law School. She worked at the Justice Department as a prosecutor. She also was with a leading law firm. She served as an appellate judicial clerk. Ron DeSantis recently pointed out that when she was confirmed as a federal judge, the vote in Florida was 56-21. 12 Democratic state senators joined Republicans to confirm her to the bench. And yet, if you look at the commentary on her now coming from, well, some of it's coming from lawyers, law professors, media types, they're acting as though this woman is unqualified, a complete buffoon, and corrupt to boot. So suddenly the legal system, which the rule of law, becomes questionable. Why? Because it's producing a result that these people don't like. Here is Elie Mystal on MSNBC. This is one of NBC's stupider, and that's really saying something. Regular guests. He says, quote, she's biased and she's corrupt. Here's Norman Ornstein, my former colleague at AEI. Now, Ornstein was always a Democrat and always recognized at AEI to be one of the stupider guys among the scholars there. But they kind of kept him on because he had the reputation then of being more of a centrist Democrat. He's not anymore. He's one of the worst today. And he too, he implies that Judge Cannon is engaging in obstruction of justice. The judge, a federal judge, is obstructing justice. Why? Because according to him, the Biden DOJ should be able to proceed unimpeded, unsupervised, without any kind of judicial oversight and any judicial obstacles put in their way. This is his definition of obstruction. Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe, who can usually be counted to make the most extreme statement that you could possibly make, basically compares the judge's decision to, quote, Dred Scott or Korematsu. Now, Dred Scott, most of you know, this was the notorious Supreme Court decision, I believe 1857, that essentially affirmed slavery. That said that black people don't have any rights that whites need to respect. This is the infamous decision by Judge Taney. Korematsu is the case which essentially resulted in the internment of Japanese Americans into camps during World War II. So these are extreme cases. And yet here is a Harvard law professor linking a judge who, by and large, let's notice here, what is Judge Aileen Cannon doing? She is putting a check on governmental power. If you look at Dred Scott and you look at Korematsu, those were promiscuous exercises of government power. On the one hand, government supporting the whole regime of slavery in the South. On the other hand, the government actively grabbing these Japanese American families, sticking them into camps. Here's Judge Cannon basically saying the government needs to have some oversight. We need a special master to look over what the government is doing to make sure that it's legit, that people's rights, the individual, in this case, Trump's rights, are not being violated. So the point here is that what we're seeing from the left is a complete abrogation of the basic respect due to a federal judge. Now, and this is not to say that you can't disagree with the judge's decision, that you can't say that, listen, if you're on the left, you probably think, well, the Biden administration can be trusted to exercise a kind of responsible sway over these documents. They can certainly distinguish what's a classified document for what's not, or a document that is covered by the search to some stuff, let's say Trump's medical records or tax records that may just inadvertently have been picked up as part of that search. We can trust the government. This is sort of you could make that argument, but that's a whole different matter from saying the judge is a crook, the judge is corrupt, the judge is basically just like the judges of old that affirmed the extension of slavery into the territory, struck down the Missouri Compromise. This, of course, is Dred Scott, or the judges who dispatched Japanese Americans into internment camps. We see here rhetoric that has become pulled away from, detached from any responsible relationship to common sense or balanced judgment. In other words, what I'm saying is that the left has gotten unhinged, something that's not entirely surprising, but we see once again in this case.